Hi. Oh, let me see here. I've got Instagram going too, and the lighting's fine. I was gonna turn my light on. It's so good to be with you. I just wanted to come in, pop in, and make a video about it's around how to forgive yourself when you've made a mistake. How to forgive yourself when you've made a mistake. Because I think, do you ever have this like where you mess something up? I don't know. You said the wrong thing. You know, maybe you said something in anger. Welcome if you're joining. Hey, go ahead and say hi. I'd love to see who's here. I don't know, maybe you said something that it didn't come out the way that you wanted. You made some mistake and, you know, whatever mistake, you've made a mistake at work and with your family, in your friendships. Something happens and it wasn't what you'd planned, and it didn't go the way that you'd wanted it to, and you make a mistake, right? Oprah says there are no mistakes. They're really just opportunities for course correction, yeah? And I like that because, but also I think part of the intention to making this video is to not demonize making mistakes. Like, because the painful thing is, hey, good morning, Renee. Oh, it's so good to see you. I wonder if you're, anyway, I was wondering something. I'll email you. You know, I think we can really, you know, it's not in the misstep that we make. Like, I made a mistake this morning, just a really simple one. As you know, I'm doing these interviews, and I had ended the interview, and then I just had cut the person off that I was interviewing, right? After the interview was over, and I like to stay on and talk to them. And it was a tech thing. I just had, like, pressed the wrong button. And so I had this, this feeling when that happened of, like, right away, like, my heart, like, I felt really tight in my chest, and I felt kind of tight all over my body, and anxious, right? A feeling of kind of anxiety came up within me. I don't know if this resonates for you, but do you ever have that happen where maybe you get an email and it's like something at work that you messed up? When I used to work as a school teacher, we had these phones in our room, and when the light would be blinking, it was so weird, but I would get like a little bit like nervous about it, like, uh-oh. And you know, it's funny, it's like, what did I do wrong? We're so afraid of making mistakes, right? So I think part of my intention for making this video is to kind of drop the fear around making mistakes a little bit for you, so that you can see that they're actually opportunities for self-forgiveness. They're actually opportunities for, so, you know, we might just take a moment just to settle in, come into a nice big breath before I get more into the content here. Taking a nice big breath in through our nose. Allow this exhale to be like a release, a settling, a making space for what's here. Good. So the reason we don't like making mistakes is because of the feeling that happens when we realize that we've done that. Even if it's not our fault. Oh, another good example in my life. We got cable done in our house, like we switched cable companies. And so, you know how they have to come and like rewire everything and put new stuff in? Our neighbors got cut off because she has the same, we live in a duplex, and so our neighbors' cable went out when they did ours, right? Now, it wasn't like I didn't do that, but yet I felt terrible. I felt responsible. I felt, you know, I felt some fear. Isn't that interesting? Because I mean, I didn't want to upset her, because I care so much about, you know, harmony and connection, right? And that's a good thing, right? But, you know, it can lean into people pleasing as well, right? So sometimes, you know, as people pleasers or recovering people pleasers, we really shield ourselves. Like we go out of our way to anticipate what might be an issue or a problem for someone so that we can avoid making a mistake. And why? Because, and mistakes are going to happen, yeah? So, and they're actually opportunities for forgiveness and for growth. And so we want to create less defense against the feelings that arise when we think we've made a mistake or maybe we've upset someone. That might be more closely tied to it, right? As highly sensitive people, we're worried about upsetting somebody. And so our mistake might be around, maybe we said something that offended someone or they took it the wrong way and we didn't even mean it that way, or right? And like, oh my gosh, I hope that they didn't take offense. I don't know if this resonates for you. I sense it does, because the people who are popping on, hi Susan, welcome. Leigh is here too. Oh, this is good. But anyway, you've done something, you've said something, and you sense that someone else is offended or upset by it, whether it be a parent, right? I was using the example of when I was a school teacher, maybe not being happy, or me thinking, right, or getting that email, or a client, right? I've done something that, oh, this is another good example. Of a mistake I recently made. Oh, I'm just like bringing them all up right now. That had me feeling a little like fluttered, and I had a workshop, and I had intended to tape all of the lectures to email them to a client, and my phone, which I'm using for Instagram Live, I pressed the record button, and for whatever reason it stopped like a minute or two in, and I didn't notice because I was like so in. I didn't have any like lesson learned. I didn't have anyone handling that for me. I was doing it myself, and so I was horrified when I realized that I didn't get all of the videos taped now, or the lectures taped. Now, you might say we can so easily get into, and then the feeling that comes up can be one of like fear, anxiety, worry. We can feel really, you get really tight in the heart. You might feel sick to your stomach. And so rather than sort of trying to talk ourselves out of it, right? It's okay to make mistakes. I didn't mean to. It's not my fault, right? This is defending. The only reason we ever defend is because the feeling of having rumpled or ruptured something or messed something up, that feeling that comes up for us is painful, and we just don't want to feel it, right? I hope this is landing for you in some way, just so that you can soften into, really being more okay with making mistakes, because we're not going to grow if we're putting our head in the sand or getting defensive. We're not. It's just not going to happen. And you're here, you're listening to this because you're interested in growth, right? You want to become you want to be at ease and at peace inside of yourself. And in order for that to happen, and really be inspired and motivated and on purpose in your life, and in order for that to happen, you're going to make a lot of mistakes, right? I mean, these just happened recently for me. And in each instance, and they're pretty benign too, by the way, like I make, mistakes with my kids and my husband and all kinds of stuff, right? We make mistakes every day. You might have already made a mistake today, done something and kind of had that regret, right? It's that feeling of regret, and it just feels terrible. It feels shitty. It feels ugh, and we just don't want to feel it. However, the first thing that we want to do is to recognize what's happened, right? Recognize that you're triggered. Such an important piece. We often skip over it. And we get right into defensiveness, or we get right into beating ourselves up. Okay? So those are reactions that we can have when this sort of feeling arises. This is where mindfulness comes in, because if you prioritize being mindful, which is simply being aware of what's happening inside and outside of you, without being for or against it, if you're intending to be mindful, then you can actually even approach this sort of stuff with more curiosity. I just did an interview with an amazing artist. Her name is Tamara Laporte, and we were talking about this, being curious. And so I dropped it. She was the one that I'd cut off, right? And it was an amazing interview, and I really wanted to just thank her afterwards and talk a little bit about how it went. And I do it on Zoom, and I ended the meeting, and the screen went blank, and I lost her, right? And I just felt that sinking feeling, like, oh, right? And like, if I get really clear about it, it's like, oh, she's gonna think I don't care, or, I might be wrapped up in what she thinks about me, Or, noticing as that had happened with my mindfulness, I was aware that I was like, beating myself up a little bit for not knowing better, right? I've done enough of these interviews. I should know better than to do that. I mean, this is very transparent, kind of vulnerable for me to share. I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. But, interestingly enough, I'm still able to come in and do this, like video after it happened, right? So this is resilience. This is what's cultivated when we bring more mindfulness to these kinds of things. We bounce back much faster. And so I was aware of, I was triggered. Okay, that's step one. Notice what it feels like in your body to be triggered. You might even recall a recent mistake you've made, a misstep of some kind. And you can, hey Lee, welcome. And hi Instagram when you're joining. I can see people joining. Hello. You might just recall right now a mistake that you've made recently, a misstep, something that you regret, something that, good morning, reach with your heart, good morning. And so notice as you recall it, bring breath to it, sense what it feels like in your body to be triggered in that way. As we come into the body, what happens is we get out of the thinking loop, right? The criticism, because your inner critic is going to judge the hell out of you for it. Your inner critic is going to beat you up. Your inner critic is going to tell you even maybe that you don't know what you're doing, right? Like blah, blah, blah. What does your inner critic say, And so as we come into the body and we start to feel the place where this is really in our bodies, then we come out of the head. Okay, we start to come into the heart and to the belly especially. Let yourself connect also. You might even be doing this right now. That'd be amazing. If you're working with this right now with some material that was charged for you, that triggered you. Let your awareness also come all the way down to the belly center, a few inches beneath your navel, yeah? And so being connected through the central channel, through the spine, through the throat, center of the chest, solar plexus, and belly. And then notice the quality of the sensations. Likely there's a lot of contraction, tightness. You might name the emotions. Really important piece here too, bringing mindfulness to the emotions that are getting triggered. Regret, shame. Shame's so painful. And really releasing any judgment we have about it, right? I mean, we can really get like, I shouldn't be ashamed about that. All I did was, I didn't even mean to do that. That's all defensive. It's all to get you away from the feeling. It's already happened. You've already been triggered. So as much as you can come. If you really want to work on true, deep self-forgiveness, this is the path. And then likely what's been activated is a smaller part of you, a little one, who at one time in his life, making mistakes, meant losing connection. Saying the wrong thing meant losing love. Not pleasing others in some way meant, I don't know, something that wasn't very safe. And that actually in present moment time isn't even true, right? You've had plenty of experiences of making mistakes and people still staying in your life and loving you through it, right? And understanding. 9 times out of 10 people are more understanding than not. But realize when you're triggered, it's a little one. It's a little one. And so you have a little one. You actually probably have, we all have, all these different facets of us. And so it's an opportunity to reparent that little one. I hope this is landing for you. If it is, you can let me know. That would be great. And so as you're just you can even comment, like, yes, this makes sense, or this resonates, or something like that. And so, one of the ways we can support that icky feeling is to put the hand on the heart. Maybe even close the eyes as I'm doing and just bring some kindness and some care to the trigger, to the feelings of regret, to the feelings of shame. And then as you're doing this, knowing that you're actually in the process of, oh good, makes so much sense. Thanks, Renee. Phew, good. That you're actually in the process of healing. It's so cool, like all of you want to heal, but the thing is, none of us want to feel the wound. Think about that. You want to heal, but you're not willing to feel the wound. Don't beat yourself up for that. None of us wants to feel the wound because it's painful. remember what Leonard Cohen said, you know, ring the bells that still will ring. Forget your perfect offering. There's a crack in everything. That's where the light comes in. We have to feel the cracks and not be ashamed of them, right? So as we feel the wounding, that's the only way we can heal it, right? Think about it. If you're not aware of the wounding, or you're not feeling it, it's just bleeding and pus and it gets infected, right? It's not safe for others to be around. Unhealed wounds, you know, are not just not good for us, but they're not good for others. So, you know, if you think about a real wound on your body, I'm taking this a little bit from Dr. Jamie Marich, and if you're not familiar with her work around emotional trauma, Google her. She's incredible, and she's on the Thriving Healer interview series as well, talking about how to heal emotional trauma. So this is also, you guys, I just please, if this is resonant for you, you'll want it. It's freely offered masterclass series, launches September 10th, and I'll have the link up shortly for that as an aside. But then the next thing you want to do is you bring nurturing, compassionate care to the wounded place and to the feelings. You might bring in some words of reassurance, right? Like, what did you need to hear someone say to you when you were a kid? What is this feeling that I'm bad, I'm wrong, I'm not good enough? Whatever the beliefs that are coming up from the trigger, you can start to say, what would be soothing, like a medicine to that? Like, it's okay. Just reminding yourself, like, it's okay, and reminding that little one, you know, it's going to be, you know, she'll understand, or I love you anyway, right? And then starting to kind of feel into, you know, what would it look like? Who would I be if I could just really forgive myself in this place? Because forgiveness is a process. Right? Maybe it would mean that you know, get a cup of tea, or maybe it would mean that you just move on to what's next and you don't let it kind of, right? Maybe you make the live video because you're rewiring the trigger. You're not allowing it to stop you in the same ways that it has in the past. I mean, come on. I've been stopped for years in triggers before. Not done things, not moved forward in my life in some way that I really wanted to because I was stuck, right? So we also, as a way to heal the wound, we very, very, very gently and lightly and gracefully and with a lot of compassion, kind of let ourselves, you know, move towards something else, like move beyond it, so that we're not staying stuck in that place. But we want to also, you know, very much, we don't want to bypass it. We want to bring it with us, care for it, right? And then move on to whatever it is that you were going to do next. Being mindful of, you know, that you're also taking care of a younger part of you. And as you do that over time, over and over and over again, two things begin to happen. You actually start to feel forgiven for being a imperfect human being. And you start to allow yourself to be imperfect, right? I mean, some of us are light workers, but realize you can't, what does light need to be light? It needs dark. And if you're a healer, you can't help anyone. You know, you can only take your clients as far as you've gone yourself. So realize that, you know, you can, and then as you open up the container to hold this experience more, it need not stop you from living your life, right? You don't need to go into bed. You don't need to call your friend and talk about and gossip about what happened so that you can in some way, you know, distance yourself from the experience, a lot of that. And actually then we just create a deeper hole for ourselves, right? And trying to prove ourselves right. We can move on with grace and with kindness, taking care of that part of us that's been wounded. Hey, butterfly. I'm almost done with my video, but I think you'll love this one. So, because it's about how to forgive yourself when you've made a mistake. So, replay on the love you. Yeah, so that's it. How to forgive yourself when you've made a mistake. Being mindful of the trigger, not judging yourself for being someone who reacts so strongly to just to maybe upsetting others, right? Forgive yourself for that. You're just highly sensitive. It's your superpower, but can also really take you down. And I'm just teaching you because I believe very strongly that if you're a highly sensitive human being, our power and our gift, our power, yes, and our gift actually for ourselves and for others is we can actually, because we're so feelingful, we can really help others in their own healing. But we can't if we allow our highly sensitive nature to be a detriment, right? By kind of caving in or defending against or trying to avoid these places of sensitivity and pain. But really being curious about when they arise, feeling into the felt sense in the body, right? So first is being aware. 2 is drop into the body and feel as the felt, like what's the felt sense of that upset, of that regret or that shame or whatever emotion's being triggered around having made the mistake. And then bringing kindness to the wound. Bringing your hand on your heart and breathing in some kindness. Maybe offering up some words of reassurance. You know, as a parent, a really good parent would to their child. And the reassurance isn't in the form of like you didn't do anything wrong necessarily, because maybe you did. Let's be honest, right? It's no shame in making mistakes. Let's get that off. Like, we can't grow if we can't see where our blind spots are. Like, we can't grow if we can't see what could improve or what we could change, right? So being honest, but just, I love you anyway, right? No, but it's okay. I love you. You're still lovable. You're still loved. And then reminding yourself too that you'll feel better soon. It just needs to sort of like all these feelings have a, I love the hearts. All these feelings have a, as one of my teachers once told me, they have a shelf life or a half life. So it's like when you drop a boulder in the water, the ripples take some time to work their way smooth again. So allowing the space to be big enough in your awareness to like hold the rippling waves and then moving on so that you're not getting stopped by this anymore. That you're actually training yourself to be the kind of person who can make mistakes, acknowledge it, learn from it, and move on. I hope this helps. It was really, really nice to share this with you. It's so nice when I have little breakthroughs in myself and I can share them with you. It just makes this whole little experiment we call life and growth just better, right? Just better to connect with you, my soul tribe. So please do stay tuned for the opt-in page to the Thriving Healer. I'd love all of you to be on it. It's freely offered. It's amazing information and content, especially if you're a highly empathic or a sensitive person, or you've thought about being a healer, or you currently are in the healing arts and you're wanting to grow in whatever place you're in. Do opt into that because you won't regret it. It's incredible. And so, and last thing, if you want support, none of us do this alone. I highly recommend you get support, whether it be a mentor or a friend or someone you sense just really can hold unconditional space for you. Unfortunately, oftentimes our friends and family can't do that, which is why mentors are so important, and coaches and therapists and counselors and all that good stuff. Get a good body-centered one, one that can help you integrate things in the body, because that's where the root is, as well as in the mind, right? Help you make those connections. And if I'm resonant with you, that might be me. I might be the person who is going to help you in that next phase of your growth. So if you're feeling stuck or challenged in a certain area and it's just not giving, and you're ready to experience more ease in that area and relief, that is your birthright. And I'm not tooting my own horn to say I'm really good at helping you through that. So I am tooting my own horn, but I'm doing so unapologetically because, what else is more important than that in us feeling whole and complete and at ease and at peace and inspired in our lives. So PM me or send me an email, karinanickerson@gmail.com. I do have a few slots open in my private work as I'm graduating a few students from my program. So please do a free consult session, and no obligation at all. I'd love to talk to you, get to know you better. Sending you so much love and many blessings. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Namaste. Namaste, Instagram.